Hello beautiful Facebook fam, Emily Diamond, sending you lots of love on this beautiful Tuesday morning. It is bright and sunny and crispy and very chirpy here in Brisbane today. We have lots of cicadas chirping away, and I wanted to talk this morning to you guys about being positive and negative at the same time. So a bunch of you know that I'm a little bit of a poo-pooer on the concept of positive thinking. And my main experience with positive thinking and how I've had to essentially reintegrate and collapse false paradigms of positivity with people over these last 15 years has taught me that the desire or the goal of being positive is a flawed one, because we live in what's called an equilibrated universe, a balanced universe. You know, it's Happy Chinese New Year today to everybody, and Chinese philosophies have a lot to offer us in terms of the Yin and Yang concept. And Yin and Yang is essentially the same sort of premise as balance, equilibration, dark and light, night and day, so good and bad, you know, all those paradoxical concepts of things that are constantly in conflict or in opposition with one another, working together to create the natural tensions and cycles and rhythms that makes life possible. So even, you know, down to a cellular level or an electrochemical level, we cannot exist without that tension. So when we've been sold in the 80s the concept of positive thinking, a lot of people developed the idea, the belief, the attachment that positivity was an experience that they were meant to have as their dominant experience, and that if they were a positive thinker, that they wouldn't ever have any negative thoughts again, and if they did, that meant that there was something flawed or wrong with them, and that they needed to go and fix that, or they were broken. You know, I'm broken, I'm stuffed, I'm done, something must be really wrong with me. Okay, so when we start with understanding, first of all, that our stress response and our evolutionary conditioning is to be suspicious of our environment, and then we have higher levels of consciousness available to us that enable us to be loving, connected, creative, supportive, empathic, genius, basically, all of our higher power, higher human capabilities, all of our gifts. Those two are essentially like our yin and our yang. So the darkness is our survival, our animal brain, our reptilian brain, our fight, flight, fuck and feed responses, our primal responses, that you boil it all down. Good morning, hi, thanks to people joining us. When you boil it all down, those 4 F's, the fight, feed, fuck and flight, they will kick in when you have either a stress response in front of you, or you've had a low-level stress response for a prolonged period of time, or you've had some significant traumas and you're what we call compartmentalised. If you're compartmentalised, then you are experiencing your stress response and your threat response, your animal behaviour, majority of the time. And you'll have what you relate to as persistently negative emotional experiences, okay? So when you think, oh, I should be positive and I should feel positive and I should think positive, you'll often get a bit of a backlash from your stress response. And it means that we can't fully access consistent periods of time to positive thought and positive sensation, positive experience, unless we do that integration work. Okay, we integrate the compartmentalisation, the trauma, retrain the brain. Just going to turn that off. We effectively retrain the brain. Oh, just cut out there. We retrain the brain to no longer respond to past threats, and that's what's going on when we're compartmentalised, traumatised, living out a prolonged stress response. We are literally acting as if the stressful stimuli is still happening, okay, even though it's gone, it's done, it's in the past. So we do integration work to correct our false perception, all right. And then the light, of course, or you could call it the light, is the positivity, the access to joy, creativity, problem solving, the ability to imagine exciting futures and options, free from the strong influence of those past experiences and those past thoughts and past events that condition us to be continually preparing for those negative things to happen again in the future. So that's one aspect of the positive and negative at the same time is we can be in our stress response and then temporarily have these wonderful moments of relief, okay? And relief usually comes in the form of time away from our ordinary circumstances and environment. Relief comes in the, look at this beautiful ivory curl. Hi, good morning. Relief also comes in the form for a lot of people from things like substances, so food, alcohol, you know, the feed and the fuck response, so feeding, eating a lot to give yourself a different biochemical response, which is relief from your normal sensation. Thanks for the likes, guys. Then there's also the stuff that we do with the fucking, so that's about connection, so we're trying to connect. Any significant addiction behavior is about connection, and that's about getting relief, and it's relief from the persistently negative emotional experience. That's when we talk about relief. So relief strategies are fantastic, okay, if they don't have any then flow on further negative consequences. When relief strategies like I used to have, like drug, alcohol and codependency, when they have, and smoking and all of that other crazy stuff I used to do when I was young. I should say when I was compartmentalised. It's got nothing to do with age. But when I was using those relief strategies, they still worked. They still met the need of relief and connection, okay? And they had flow-on negative consequences. So what happens when you integrate trauma and you process it all and you recondition your stress response and you start getting into those creative, joyful faculties of being a human being, those relief strategies change. You still need relief because we still have day-to-day negativity. That's natural, you know, just like that yin and yang concept I was talking about, you know, Happy Chinese New Year. There will always be light and dark, okay? So we'll always have challenges. Without that tension between the light and dark, we don't have the need to grow, okay? And that's the basis of our whole universe, is the tension energetically between molecules, the tension between ions and protons and neutrons, allowing molecules to hold their form, you know. So without natural tension and that connection between the positive and the negative, there is no existence for us in this physical universe. And then, of course, it applies down to the level of personality. And what I'm talking about this morning really is that at your level of personality, if you've been sold the idea of positive thinking and then you're upset with yourself for not maintaining being positive all the time, and it's caused a new layer of anxiety and upset and distrust with yourself, my request is that you cut it out and you give it up and you surrender to the nature, which is that you have an animal response, that you have a threat response. And if that threat response is still active day to day, then there's integration work to be done. And that's where things really change. So that integration work, please do feel free to get in touch with me about it. Obviously, I work a lot with business leaders and we're looking at expressing their purpose in their business and how they intelligently scale their business to ensure that it's a match for their value system. And for that, we need to integrate and learn that we're creating not from our pain but from our power. And I'll talk a little bit maybe this afternoon or tomorrow about positivity and negativity in terms of how we do goal setting. Okay, so big love to all you guys. Have an amazing day. I'll speak to you soon. Lots of love. Bye.